Hello, I am your host, Tracy Otsuka. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of ADHD for Smartass Women. You know, my goal is always to show you who you are and then inspire you to be it. So today we're going to do exactly that through a solo episode that I have been wanting to record for a while. I first shared this inside my Your ADHD Brain is A-OK Academy, but it applies to anyone who feels stuck. But I digress because I just saw that I wanted to mention we have our book now in Polish. Yeah, that's Polish. And then, are you seeing this one right here is in Romanian. And then here is the UK version, which ultimately just feels like the paperback version of our hardcover book. And we also have it out in Turkish and Korean. There's a couple others that I'm not remembering right now, but they're slowly coming in, which is super exciting. So thank you again for making the book so successful that we got foreign rights, and there's other countries that are interested in translating it into their language. I've got my fingers crossed that we are going to one day soon get an offer from a Spanish-speaking country so we can get it in Spanish, and then, of course, I'd love to see it in German. Okay, so anyway, as I said, I want to talk about what do you do when you feel stuck? And so the way this came about is often women will come to me and say, our students, our AOK students, I signed up for AOK, which is my program, Your ADHD Brain is AOK Academy. And I want to make changes, but I still have not been able to start. Or I'm doing the work, but it's not working. Sometimes it can look like procrastination. Other times it looks like perfectionism or overwhelm. But underneath it all is this same belief. I should be farther along than I actually am. And while I hear this in AOK, it really shows up, frankly, anytime that you're trying to make progress on something that matters to you and you feel like you're stuck. You feel like you can't. So in our program, our women get all kinds of resources once they sign up, from our patented Your ADHD Brain is A-OK program to all kinds of options for group and one-to-one coaching. They're put in a pod with their peers. We do trainings. Everything is self-contained in the hub. So you'd think, yeah, that should be really easy, right? To be able to move forward. But the most important part of ADHD work, and I say this all the time, is always mindset, especially around progress. What do I say? All the time. 75% of solving the ADHD puzzle is actually all about how you think. Because here's the thing, having access to all the tools in the world won't change anything if you're stuck in a cycle of believing that you're not making progress. You can come into the most supportive programs out there, right? But if your brain keeps focusing on, I'm stuck, I can't follow through, I never finish anything, I should be farther along, it's not working, something must be wrong with me or with the program. And so that's what I want to break down today, because when you feel stuck, the problem is usually not the program, and the problem is not even you. It's how your brain is interpreting your progress. So let's start by talking about why change feels so hard, even when you really, really want it. This is why. Your habits are subconscious. Do you know that about 95% of your thoughts and actions are things that you just repeat automatically without even thinking? That means that when you wake up each morning, your brain is basically rerunning yesterday's program. You've got the same doubts, the same patterns, the same reactions. Think about it. The way you show up in the world, it's a pattern. The way you respond to stress, to feedback, to yourself, it's a pattern. Even your thoughts, yep, They're just well-practiced patterns that your brain has gotten really good at repeating. So if you don't consciously pause and interrupt that pattern, your brain is going to do what it always does. And if you avoid emotions, you avoid change. Why? Because real change requires you to sit with discomfort long enough to process it instead of running from it. And I get it. Sitting with hard emotions is hard. It also kind of feels like you're not doing anything, right? But it's actually the most important work that you can do. Then the next question becomes, if 95% of your thoughts and behaviors are subconscious or automatic, how do you change them? You learn how to pause and challenge your beliefs. If your brain keeps telling you, I always procrastinate, I can't finish anything, I should be farther along, you have to stop or pause, right? And ask, wait a minute, is that really true? Or is it just a thought that I've been thinking for so long that I just believe it? Because here's the thing, you get to choose what you believe about yourself. Do you know that? You can absolutely let go of thoughts that just are not helpful. You can rewrite the beliefs that keep you stuck, but first you have to catch them. And that's where your words come in. Your words shape your reality. They teach your brain what to focus on. So if you keep saying, I should be farther along, what you're really doing is you're reinforcing failure. You're strengthening the belief that you're just not good enough, that there's something wrong with you. But if you shift your words just ever so slightly, you can change the story. You could try saying this, I'm learning. What have I learned? What is different? I've made more progress than I think. I trust myself to keep going. Now, your brain starts reinforcing that. And that small shift, that's what actually fuels motivation and momentum for our ADHD brains. Because you cannot learn and grow while you're sitting in shame. You just cannot do it. If you're constantly telling yourself, I should be doing better, I am so behind, I never follow through, your brain is just collecting evidence to prove you right. But here's what's actually happening. You are making small improvements. You're just not noticing them. You are taking action. You're just dismissing it because in your mind, it's not big enough. And until you start giving yourself credit for your progress, you're not going to see more of it. Contrary to popular belief, you don't build self-trust by being perfect. You build self-trust by noticing small wins and stacking them and celebrating them, and also noticing that, okay, I tried that thing that made me feel uncomfortable and I didn't die. I'm actually just fine, right? So let's say your goal, the goal that you want to reach is you want to do the 10 out of 10 thing. And let's say that right now you're at a 2 out of 10. Instead of seeing that as a failure, what if you saw it like this? Look, I'm a 2 right now. When I started this program, I was at a 1. I am moving forward. Progress, it is never all or nothing. And if you keep telling yourself, I haven't made enough progress, you won't make any more. Because why would your brain work harder when all it ever hears is that you're not enough or that you're failing? So what if we stopped chasing giant wins, giant dramatic transformations, and we talked about what real change actually looks like? Because Real change is small. It's steady. It's sustainable. And rewiring your brain, well, it takes time and it takes repetition and it takes focus. So the goal is never about perfection. It's not about doing everything right. It's about showing up for yourself consistently in the smallest ways, time after time. Here's something important to remember while you're going through any program or working toward any real change in your life. Old habits will always resurface. That's just part of the process. And some days you're going to feel like you're in fire. Other days you won't feel like doing a damn thing. And that is okay, because progress is not a straight line, no matter what anybody tells you. It's actually more like a cycle. That doesn't mean that you're failing. That means you're actually learning, because the work really isn't about managing your time. It's about managing your emotions, especially on the days when motivation disappears or self-doubt starts to creep in. You know, I always say, do not judge yourself by the day. Look at your progress over the past week, or better yet, over the past month. You are allowed to have days that just aren't productive, because there will be other days where you absolutely crush it. You get up, you don't know what's going on, but you literally accomplish 5 days of work in one day. That's just how our brains work. And the sooner you stop making yourself wrong for that, everything will start to shift for you. So the real work is not forcing yourself to be more disciplined. You know me. I will never ask you to be more disciplined, ever. The real work is in catching and shifting your negative thought loops, then setting some boundaries so you're not constantly drained, and then prioritizing rest. You don't get rest just when you complete something. You get rest as a normal course of business, right? Because you can't change your life from an exhausted brain. ADHD, it is not a discipline problem. It's not even a productivity problem. It's an identity problem. Because if you believe that you're lazy or broken or someone who just can't follow through, guess what? You are going to act exactly like that. Not because it's true, but because your brain is wired to prove you right. This is exactly why mindset matters so much. It is not about pushing harder. It's about shifting how you see yourself. The real problem, it's not your to-do list. It's the story your brain is telling you about who you are. And once you change that, everything changes. So if you feel stuck, the answer is not try harder. It's focus on what's already working. Create more support, space, and self-trust. And honestly, for me, number 3, sometimes the smartest question isn't, how do I do this? It's, who can I get to do this for me? Transformation doesn't come from fixing yourself. It comes from finally believing in yourself. So if you remember nothing else, remember this. You don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to keep going. The brain loves proof, so give it some. Notice what's working, celebrate small wins, and keep reminding yourself that stuck doesn't mean stopped. You're not behind, you're becoming. And yes, you'll get through A-OK and anything else that you want to achieve, and you'll be brilliant at that too. So that's what I have for you for this week. I know it's a short one, but it's so important that I didn't want to muck it up with a bunch of extra minutes. Anyway, that's what I have for you for this week. If you like this episode, please let us know by leaving a review. Our goal is to change the conversation around ADHD, helping as many women as we possibly can learn how their amazing ADHD brains work so that they too may discover their amazing strengths. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you here next week.